Issue 167. We start out with Amy giving another good reason for why she and Sonic are going to the new portals that opened up. They're checking them out in case they pose a danger to Emerald Hill. That's a good point. For all they know, they could have an army preparing to invade it on the other side of a portal. I wonder if Tails feels hurt that Sonic's arbitrarily choosing to spend these adventures with Amy instead of his best friend. Oh well, we'll never get to see that. They see a zone full of superheroes, and Sonic says that's all we need. Yeah, generic superhero fiction really isn't my thing. I'd be fine with it if they were all anthros like Sonic, but instead they're humans, so they're generic for Sonic. Amy just assumes that Muscle Man's been neglecting his mind, when she should know that he could be smart too. Then someone starts falling out of the sky because his unpredictable flying abilities took a lunch break. He must be an idiot then to even take a chance with them at all. Sonic slows his fall down by creating a funnel of speeds, and Sonic calls someone a goon for stating the obvious about it. I was expecting him to reveal that he's literally Captain Obvious and that's his superpower, but oh well. Sonic is asked to join the superheroes at a convention this evening, but he says that he's here to look for bad guys, not do-gooders. It's really weird to hear Sonic say that like a villain and never be called out on it. The last time I heard that being said, it was by one of the guys who wanted to send Fabian into a dangerous new dimension. I mean, I love how much of an anti-hero Fleetway Sonic is, but at least point it out. You think Amy would insult him for using that insult? When the convention begins later, someone asks the organizer what's on the timetable for this year's event. So what's gonna go wrong here? Is the organizer the bad guy? Then some supervillains burst into the building asking superheroes what they're doing here at their own convention. The villain says that it's a supervillain convention this weekend. And we see the amusing parody situation lampshaded as someone says that the hotel's somehow been double booked. So, wouldn't having a superhero convention like that's publicly well known, wouldn't it just be screaming to the police to arrest them? Because, oh look, there's a whole bunch of criminals, we're all gathered here. They start fighting when the villains haven't even committed any crimes yet, as the hotel guy lampshades, and a superhero says that superheroes never need an excuse for a fight. So again, self-aware parody. I think this can work then. This is notably better than in the Sonic Super Special superhero crossover, where the superhero stuff was played totally straight. As someone who doesn't like superhero fiction, seeing a parody is much easier on me. Of course, that only proves my point about how the Sonic franchise trying to parody and make fun of itself is appealing to the wrong kind of people. Anyways, conveniently Sonic decided to show up here when he just said that he wasn't going to show up here. Amy points out light in the sky, and Sonic says it's gotta be a meteor and tries to warn everyone. They won't listen to him, will they? The flying superheroes decide not to destroy the meteor because they're scared of heights in another parody. I mean, in a world where everyone's a superhero, it makes sense that there would be people who are born with flying powers and are afraid of heights. It's the law of averages. Also, I guess the superhero convention is only for the people in the smaller region of the zone, because if it was for literally every superhero in the zone in a world of superheroes, it'd be pretty crowded. Then I smile at someone saying completely seriously, "If only the evil meteor destruction man was here," and I felt like chuckling. That's so specific. And yet it makes perfect sense that in a world where everyone's a superhero, he'd exist. So is this like a world where Syndrome from The Incredibles won? I expected him to mention a superhero though. Why would he ever expect a supervillain? What's evil about saving the world from meteors? Why would he ever expect a supervillain to want to save them from a meteor in the first place when, in his own words, meteor doomsday plots are his specialty? Also, why do supervillains even bother doing anything evil in the world of superheroes? Are they just that stubborn? Obviously what they're doing is cancelled out and undone by superheroes all the time since the zone's still intact by now. So they shouldn't even try. There's no powerless, innocent people to terrorize. They have to fight superheroes. Plus, I don't think everyone in the world would choose to be a superhero or villain just because they're born with superpowers. Not everyone is the fighting type. Not everyone is the type to go out of their way being active and stick with one side or the other. Most people would be neutral. and therefore use their powers for mundane things while not bothering with costumes. Well, maybe the reason everyone wears costumes anyways is just because it's the normal fashion trend in the superhero zone. That would make sense. The more I think about the zone, the more I'm in love with it. Then Amy asks him, has it occurred to you that he might be behind this? He facepalms, but to be fair, it hadn't occurred to me either, because I just assumed it was a coincidence. So that's a parody too. Sonic sees a giant magnet on a roof and assumes that's the hideout of the bad guy, and Sonic hits him with a spin dash as he complains about how he's not at the convention with the other superheroes. So he was the smartest supervillain of them all because he counted on the superheroes being busy wasting time at a convention and took advantage of it. And I guess he's insane and evil to justify him even wanting to do these plots in the first place. Maybe he was bullied. Sonic guesses that it was actually him who had double booked superheroes at conventions to make them all stay together so they'd all be destroyed. And for some reason, Evil Meteor Man is perfectly confident that no one will stop the meteor from destroying the world in a few seconds, even though he should have plenty of experience with people stopping that from happening by now. Then Amy says she can stop the meteor because of what Techno taught her about computer geniusness. So she's learning from an engineer to be more of an engineer herself? Odd that it's not Tails in that role. And while it is refreshing for Amy to be in that role instead, why can't Tails have the void filled in with him being a magician instead? Anyways, Amy reverses the magnetic flow to repel the meteor back into space. The story ends with Sonic saying he's got other zones to explore, and Amy saying Sonic would look ridiculous in tights, causing me to smile and imagine that myself. This story was by Loostringer, and was possibly the most charming story in the comics that's not the suits that are attacking story. And while I was worried at seeing superhero humans in a Sonic comic, because it was a parody of superheroes, I loved it. It does so well with the concept of a world where everyone's got superpowers. The only thing it fails in is that it doesn't tell you that most people would still be neutral and not get involved in scary fights all the time. But I can assume that is the case and they're just wearing costumes because that's how the fashion is there. As someone who's aggressively apathetic to superhero fiction since they're so overdone it's ridiculous, I loved seeing the refreshing take on how the superheroes were complete airheads, and how there are superheroes and villains with ridiculously specific powers for comedic purposes. Like an unpredictable flying power man who has part-time powers, and an evil meteor destruction man. It makes perfect sense considering there's so many superheroes in that world. Of course, by law averages, there'd be idiot superheroes and weird power superheroes. They missed the mark by not having a guy reveal himself to be Captain Obvious though. Anyways, if I can stop gushing about it for a second, what happens is that a supervillain and superheroes convention are double booked at the same hotel, and they all start fighting because they love fighting, which they do of course, and the meteor villain was smart enough to take advantage of this. And then Amy was smart enough to take advantage of the fact that she hangs out with Techno so much by reversing the polarity of his meteor magnet, with no tools or anything, just button pressing. It's cool that she's getting that sort of progress in her competent level. It's more refreshing than Techno doing it. But if that's not going to be Tails' role, why the fuck isn't he given a different role instead? And I bet you not even the fan comic continuation of this comic will bother making Tails a mage. Because we gotta stay loyal to the original comic, guys. We gotta stay loyal to the games. Which is a shame. I'd love to see Tails as a mage if he's not allowed to be an engineer.